Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. So let's immediately jump in here with this. We have more dates for Avatar in concert, and specifically the idea that I guess the sort of like second wave, I guess, of the tour is going to be specifically kind of titled the 20th anniversary tour. It's all over the official social medias that, this is what they're doing. They're making a big deal about this. And they're kind of emphasizing it as a cinematic experience a little bit more this time. Now, I'm not sure how much of that is actually new compared to what like one of the first showings was. We'll get into the details here as we go through. So, first of all, straight away, new poster. Looks to be from the same artist as the first one. Looks really nice. I really like the addition of Katara in this one and not just Aang. Celebrate 20 years of Avatar with the official cinematic concert experience. And yeah, it just emphasizes 20th anniversary, just says it all over the place. Now, elevated with a once-in-a-lifetime cinematic experience, the special anniversary edition features a 2-hour visual journey through all 3 seasons of the iconic series, projected on a full-size cinema screen with new surprises, extended pieces, and creative touches added just for this milestone tour, offering fans a fresh way to experience the story they love. So this is where I'm not clear, like, what's actually new here, because I believe they always had visuals. They always had some sort of visual stuff going on. Is the length, I think, is roughly the same, is it, or is it slightly longer? I'm not sure. New surprises, like, does that just mean they've edited in a few different sections or something like that? I don't even know. Extended pieces, that obviously speaks for itself. I guess some of the pieces that are only a little bit are going to be extended to be longer. Maybe, I guess, because they're getting close to the release of the Book 2 soundtrack, maybe it just means some of the Book 2 stuff is going to be a little bit longer to kind of match the idea that they have everything done, I guess. And then creative touches is, I guess, it's just fancier editing in terms of what they have going on there. I'm not really sure. I don't think they get across particularly well what exactly is different for this version versus other ones. I guess it's just slightly refined from the previous kind of version, but that's basically the whole thing there. Otherwise, it's just the same description of the concert that we've had before. There is a video that goes through a lot of the same stuff, but it's basically the same. And then we have the 20th anniversary tour itself, which I'll get to in just a second, because I do want to just highlight what's down here at the end. So we do have the end of, I suppose, the first tour, the one that's not necessarily the 20th anniversary tour, though I suppose because it's technically in the right time period. You can see here there's a few showings in the Netherlands and Canada to end the previous run. Then we get to what we have here, the new kind of 20th anniversary tour, which starts off September 13th, and we have a lot of US dates for September, October, November. Then we cut over to the European tour starting in March. So yeah, Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Germany, Denmark, Sweden, UK. Still no Ireland, so none for me. And I'm beginning to feel that they're probably never actually going to come here. So yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to get to see Avatar in concert, which is unfortunate. Obviously, we assume there is more to still be added. I think that's always the case with this. They're going to keep doing it for a while. There's no reason for them to stop, especially with the kind of relaunch of the franchise coming up over the course of the next kind of year. So this will continue, I guess, for the next couple of years. And you can tell just from the way they have the box kind of planned out with this one that, North American tour, European tour, Australia, but Asia tour. I don't think they've ever had anything in this, but that seems to be a plan that they do have for the future, kind of highlighting that for sure there will be dates past like November for the US tour and past March and October for the UK tour. So yeah, pre-sale available on tomorrow, April 30th. You have to use the code AVATAR20, and then it's May 2nd for when the stuff just goes live normally for sale. So if you have a showing, definitely kind of jump in on it and don't miss out, of course. So that's, I think, basically everything there is to talk about with this, other than, like I mentioned, I'm kind of a little bit surprised that they didn't include within the announcement anything about the Book 2 Earth soundtrack, which we know is coming because they specifically noted it in the anniversary back in February, the press release. They mentioned that there'll be details on the Book 2 soundtrack in the coming months. But we still haven't heard anything specifically, so I may be wondering, like, to coincide with the tickets kind of going live, might they announce something about that, or because the idea for a lot of stuff in the press release is that it's stuff that is meant to actually happen within the 20th anniversary year. So we would expect that this year, within the next couple of months, but when is it actually happening is the big question. So there's still stuff like that has to play out, and of course the longer they take to do Book 2, the longer it takes for them to get to Book 3. And I think a lot of us are really waiting for the Korra soundtracks to be released, because a lot of that, it feels like we haven't had a chance to focus on all that much because they only did the first one. And I think they do plan to go in order, so we have to get through all of it, Avatar, before we get into Korra. But they do have plans to do Korra. How locked in they are, I'm not sure, but Jeremy Zuckerman was kind of clear about it on Instagram that they do plan to do Korra eventually. And based on how popular this is, if they eventually evolved this in the future to be like a mix of Avatar and Korra, I think it would be treated just as well, because I think people love the Korra soundtrack just as much. So there is that. We'll then move into some publishing news. So unfortunately, it's maybe not the stuff we maybe were really hopeful for, which was cover for Light It Up or preview pages for Beasts of the Four Nations. They'll come, I guess. Maybe like next month, there's an opportunity for them because we're getting much closer to release. 4 months out seems to be when they do a lot of stuff with these, and we're not quite there yet. The first one here is this. The Avatar official baking book now has its finalized cover here. So you can see it's a little bit more Avatar themed with the kind of Aang cupcake here, the Appa one here, that sort of thing. It's nice. I think finding the blend between how Avatar-y it should be versus how focused on the specific food it should be, it's fine for what it is. No preview images apart from the one we already had, which is the placeholder table of contents, which seems to demonstrate what all of the recipes are, though of course there's no page count and it's not finalized, so it might change for the final release, but I'm guessing they put this out there is because these are the ones that they're actually going to be doing. So there's a few things about this that we still don't know. It's out 30th of September, but like we don't know if it has flavor text on the recipes. And like it's going to be like the previous book where it's kind of written from the perspective of the characters to a certain degree. We don't know if that's in play. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't be. I definitely am not going to pre-order the book until we know that that stuff is in. Just because like that's part of why I'd want to get the book and why I got the previous cookbook is because it had the kind of canon flavor text in it. So still to wait and see on that. But yeah, that's out later in the year. Then the next one is, again, scrolling past some of the other stuff, we eventually get to Avatar The Last Airbender Paint with Water, which is out in December, so they've actually have the preview stuff up for this quite early. So this is the book from Thunder Bay Press, also announced as part of the Avatar press release for the anniversary that this was coming out, and now we have the full details. So here's the cover for Paint with Water, and as expected, yeah, it's just a lot of what seems to be sort of like recreations of stock imagery or screenshots from the show into the kind of style where they can morph it into this kind of paint with water style. So you can see here some of this stuff is clearly stock imagery, like this Toph, this Sokka, this Aang, but they've slightly adjusted it. We do actually have preview pages for this, which gives you more of a sense for what the pages actually look like. Again, the gimmick of this book, Paint with Water, is that you get a paintbrush with it. You dip the paintbrush into water, you basically paint water onto the page to effectively, I suppose, activate or kind of remove the kind of coating on the pages, which reveals the kind of actual colors. So once you get coverage of water across the page, you are coming out with the finalized image. At least to me, the images just feel a little bit kind of thrown together because you can see very clearly this is a very stock piece of Katara imagery just placed into this environment. Some of them are more like screenshots from the show, but recreations. It's nice. And it could be a fun, kind of nice little thing if you're kind of into this sort of thing. At least for me, I kind of feel like there's going to be a lot of other books coming out in or around this time. I don't think I'm going to put the money out for this one. Even though it's not like a hugely expensive book, for what it is, I'm not sure it's offering me kind of enough in terms of maybe like unique art that I would want to kind of grab this one. But it's certainly a unique thing that is available for someone who wants it, of course. I'm more maybe interested in something like, say, the official sticker book, which is coming out like a few weeks later in December, because it says it's going to have over 500 stickers. And that just seems like a kind of useful thing to have, like the amount of stock imagery that's probably going to be in this thing with over 500 stickers, symbol stickers. There could be some nice stuff there with how they go about doing it. But yeah, lots of publishing stuff already on the schedule, and then the idea is that there is going to be more coming as well, because Dark Horse still haven't really delivered their kind of announcements. Of course, Beast of the Four Nations was a really cool reveal to get a while ago, but again, this book should have been out years ago, realistically, so it's more of a finally situation rather than just like, new release. We want to know what the next Avatar comic is, what the next Korra comic is, what the comic miniseries, again from the anniversary press release, is actually going to be. And again, that is meant to be a release for this year, so they're going to have to announce that at some point soon. But I'm guessing they probably are saving a lot of those announcements for San Diego Comic-Con, and we'll see where a lot of that stuff slots in, because we'd all, I think, like there to be maybe another release towards the end of the year at some point in maybe November or December. But you have to consider that January going into February is apparently when like the movie's coming out, so they probably want stuff to be out in or around that time. So it'll be interesting to see how the publishing stacks upon itself when more gets announced for after where we're up to right now. This is the furthest into the kind of timeline Avatar publishing thing we have so far, but it's 2026. That's the year where things are properly getting going. So the lineup for 2026 is going to be the big exciting thing when we finally do get there. But I will also say, don't forget that there's some good stuff coming this year as well. Relics of the Four Nations could be an interesting book with the kind of items that you get. Lots of details we're still waiting for Awakening of Roku. Beast of the Four Nations is going to be exciting when it finally comes out. The Bending Academy book, the cover still has to be revealed, and what the writing style is like. Is it going to be notable in any way as a kid's novel? That's going to be an exciting release. And of course, City of Echoes in the July slot as a new novel. Lots of exciting stuff, plus, how to draw and other bits and pieces along the way. So that's pretty good. I'll end with just this thread of art that Alexandria Monique posted on Blue Sky and partially on Twitter. So what she reveals here is that she has done some of the promo or stock images that we've seen recently for Avatar, which makes sense because she did some of the key art for like the Avatar Legends books, but now it's just like straight up she's done Avatar art for like Paramount, for Avatar Studios basically. And you can see here, this piece of art is actually used in some of the banner stuff in Realms Collide. So we're going to see this being used, I think, a little bit more. So that's really cool to see. And there's some of the concept art stuff about how we kind of got to this in the end, but that's very cool. And she does note that some of this stuff has been released already, some of it hasn't. We have seen this specific Aang on Appa before, so that's really cool to see. This one, I don't believe we have seen, so that would be a really cool one to see where this one gets used, Appa and Momo. So that's nice. Here's a Katara, which I don't believe we've seen that one before. Here's the concept for an Azula, which again, have we seen this one? I'm not sure. I don't really think so here. There is UA here, which again, it's like a lot of the UAs are maybe kind of done like this. So like, have we seen it before or not? I'm going to say I don't think so, but again, trying to keep track of all the kind of stock art, Suki is included here. So this one's cool. I don't believe we've seen this one before, so that will be exciting wherever we see that one get used. I'm looking at like disc plates into the future. I'm assuming this stuff will be used on disc plates, and like that would be a nice Suki one to have. Here's Here's some kind of fights, Azula versus Zuko. Again, these ones are more in like concept, so they don't seem to be maybe more finalized art. And then here is a specific Toph, which we have seen before. So that's cool, just to know that, hey, Alex Monick is doing some of the kind of new promo art for Avatar. That's exciting to know, just because she seems to be doing art all over the place for Avatar these days. And it's going to be exciting to see her on hopefully the next Korra comic as well. So just to keep an eye on that one, where like, hey, follow her on social media if you want to keep up with her art stuff. But yeah, that's going to pretty much bring the video to a close. And again, we'll go back here for Avatar in Concert. What are your thoughts on this? Especially if you have been to Avatar in Concert, what do you make of what they're saying is sort of unique about the 20th anniversary version of the concert versus what you saw? Compared to, I suppose, the visuals you saw on screen, what does this sound like it's actually going to be in terms of something different? But what do you make of this, the tour dates that they have, that sort of thing? Also, as I covered as well, some of this publishing news, the baking book, which a lot of people didn't seem to know was actually coming out when I posted this on Twitter. So what are your thoughts on the baking book? And do you have any interest in the paint with water book as well? So let me know your thoughts below, but otherwise that's been the video. Thanks for watching and bye.